She carries no badge, no institutional affiliation, a scuffed case and 30 years of fieldwork compressed into the way she breathes. She studied the resin for 6 seconds, said the vessel had been resealed. The blockchain didn't record that. Then the cabinet opened. $5.2 million of Omani amber resin met open air for the first time in 14 months. The scent arrived in layers, and the layers were in the wrong order. Lighter volatiles before the heavy base. A freshness that has no business existing in something harvested in 1971. Emery Vassal blinked. His nostrils had caught it too, the wrongness without a name. 4 authentications. Blockchain sealed. Every checkmark accurate. And a question none of them could ask just ended all of it. The vault hum is louder now. Or maybe it was always this loud, and Emery Vassal is only just hearing it. The way you suddenly hear a clock in a room where someone has just said something that changes everything. Nothing in the environment has changed. The air is still 16.2 degrees. The LED panels still cast their shadowless blue-white across limestone. The resin still sits in its borosilicate vessel behind the open cabinet door, dark honey at the edges, near black at the ancient core, holding 50 years of compressed aliveness inside itself like something geological that once had a pulse. But Emery's palms are damp. His jaw has tightened around a thought he hasn't finished forming. Her words, "Something in here is too young for what it claims to be," have settled across his shoulders like a weight that isn't physical but registers in the body anyway, the way institutional dread always does. She is not looking at him. She is looking at the resin with the patience of someone who has learned that objects reveal more when you don't rush them. She has set down the scalpel. She hasn't moved to the next step. She is simply present, and her stillness is itself a kind of forensic pressure. Emery reaches for what curators always reach for when the floor shifts: documentation. He pulls up the full authentication file on the vault's terminal. The screen illuminates, green check marks cascading, blockchain hashes, institutional logos, the entire architecture of the Valdoria digital provenance standard glowing with algorithmic confidence. The spectral fingerprint was run in 2019, he says, updated in 2022. Boswellic acid ratios within expected parameters. Insensol acetate consistent with Dhofar region sacra. He turns from the screen. The chemistry confirms the origin, every time. She doesn't look at the screen. She looks at the resin. The chemistry confirms the species. A beat. That's not the same thing as confirming the origin. The distinction is quiet. It lands the way a hairline crack appears in glass, not with sound, but with the sudden awareness that the structure is no longer whole. The FTIR data identified Boswellia sacra chemistry. It never claimed to identify geography. But the authentication system treated species confirmation as origin confirmation because the provenance documents provided the geographic frame and the spectral data painted obediently within it. Emery looks at the screen again. The check marks haven't changed, but he is seeing them differently now, not as answers, but as answers to a question he is beginning to realize was incomplete. She asks for the original harvest documentation, not the digital record, the paper. He retrieves it with the care of someone handling legacy. Acid-free folder, cotton gloves. The 1971 certificate emerges, yellowed but structurally sound, Arabic and English in parallel columns, an Omani Ministry of Agriculture stamp in faded blue ink, a regional inspector's signature carrying the particular confidence of someone who never expected his authority to be questioned. He places it on the steel examination table. This certificate is the foundation stone, the original claim that every subsequent verification, spectral, blockchain, institutional, took as given, the ground floor of a 30-year tower of certainty. She studies it for 30 seconds, not scanning, reading line by line with a quality of attention Emery has never seen applied to a document. She is cross-referencing in real time against something he can't see. A private archive, a body of knowledge that lives nowhere digital. Then she reaches into her case and produces a leather-bound notebook. It is not new. The cover is worn at the corners, stained by rain or fieldwork, or the accumulated residue of years spent in places that don't look like this vault. She opens it to a page of handwritten tables, elevation data, species distribution maps, geographic coordinates, small, precise handwriting, years of botanical fieldwork compressed into pages that no database replicates because no database was ever standing in the field to collect the data. Emery straightens involuntarily. The notebook carries a kind of authority he recognizes without being able to name it, the authority of something irreplaceable, knowledge that cannot be digitized, crowdsourced, or blockchain verified, knowledge acquired through presence. This certificate references a harvest site on the Nejd Plateau, she says. Elevation 850 meters. She opens the notebook to the relevant page. Her finger rests beside a column of figures. The Royal Botanic Gardens surveyed that plateau in 1968, 3 years before this certificate was issued. They recorded Boswellia sacra between 400 and 720 meters. That was the full range. Every tree, every grove. She looks up. There are no documented sacra populations at 850 meters in that region. There never were. She closes the notebook. This certificate authenticates a harvest from a grove that doesn't exist. The vault door opens with a knock that arrives simultaneously with the door already moving. Dr. Maren Stoltz enters carrying her tablet like a structural engineer carries blueprints as proof that the building is sound. She designed the Valdoria Digital Provenance Standard, blockchain-anchored spectral cross-referencing with documentary chain of custody. It is her system, her architecture, her professional identity rendered in code and cryptographic seals. She speaks to Emery, not to the woman at the table. This asset has been authenticated under the Valdoria standard, twice. The spectral data is clean, chain of custody unbroken since 1993. The woman at the table doesn't turn around. She is labeling a core sample vial with a fine tip marker, her handwriting small and unhurried. Your system authenticated the documentation. She caps the marker. I'm authenticating the resin. The spectral data is the resin, molecular fingerprint, peer-reviewed methodology. Now she turns, slowly, the pivot of someone who has been waiting for precisely this conflation. Spectral data tells you what something is made of. Eye contact held, but not where it was alive. Another beat. Those are different questions. Your system only asked one. She holds up the core sample, a near-black fragment dense with compressed decades. Think of it this way. Your system asked the resin, "What are you made of?" And the resin answered honestly, "Boswellia sacra, genuine." She holds the vial to the vault's cold light. But no one asked, "Where did you grow? What rain fell on you? What air did you breathe?" She lowers the vial. Every living thing records the isotopic signature of its environment, the balance of heavy to light carbon atoms in the air it photosynthesized, the balance of heavy to light oxygen in the water it pulled through its roots. These ratios lock in at the moment the tree produces the resin. Storage doesn't change them. Time doesn't change them. Nothing changes them. She sets the vial down. You can forge a document. You can replicate a scent. You can age a surface, but you cannot forge an isotopic memory. 3 days later, the results arrive on a single printed page. Emery has slept 9 hours total. The vault, the same light, feels different. The silence that once felt like stewardship now feels complicit. She places the page beside the 1971 certificate. 2 documents, 2 kinds of memory. Carbon-13 ratio -24.3 per mil. Dhofar Sacra in arid conditions registers between -26 and -28. This tree experienced less water stress, a wetter environment than any documented plateau site. Could storage affect the ratio? No. Isotope ratios are fixed at the moment of biosynthesis. That is the law of isotopic memory. That's one data point, Stoltz says from near the wall. Oxygen 18, -2.1 per mil. Expected range, -4 to -6. The water this tree drank came from a coastal aquifer, low elevation, not 850 meters. She straightens. 2 independent isotopic systems, both pointing away from the documented origin. The resin remembers a place that doesn't match the paper. Then she says the thing that inverts everything. I want to be precise. This resin is Boswellia sacra, genuine, old. The molecular fingerprint is real. She sets down the FTIR result. But it didn't come from where the documents say it did, and it may not have been harvested when the documents say it did. She looks at the certificate. The resin is real. The provenance is fiction. Emery lowers himself onto a steel stool. Then the $5.2 million valuation is based on a narrative, not on the material. Most valuations are. The question is whether Valdoria can tell the truth about what it doesn't know, or keep selling certainty it never had. Stoltz speaks after a silence that has developed weight. My system verifies consistency between spectral data and documentation. If they match, it confirms. She swallows. It was never designed to question the documents themselves. I know. That's the difference between verification and authentication. Verification asks, does this match what we've been told? Authentication asks, should we believe what we've been told? The case latches click. Your system is an excellent verifier, but no one ever asked it to authenticate. In the doorway, Emery says what has been forming behind his sternum since the scent first arrived wrong. If I present this to the board, they'll question every asset. 15 years of my provenance work. She pauses, adjusts the strap of her case. Your work was careful, meticulous even, but you were curating a story someone else wrote, and no one, not you, not Stoltz, not the board, ever asked the resin to tell its own. She steps through the door. Now it has. He stands. Stoltz's system was elegant, scalable, efficient. It did exactly what it was designed to do. That was the problem. It verified consistency. It never pursued truth. She didn't have better technology. She had better questions, and a nose that had spent 30 years learning what time does to molecules. knowledge no algorithm can acquire, because no algorithm has a body standing in the wadi at dawn, breathing. Someone, 50 years ago, invented a grove at 850 meters that no survey ever recorded, wrote it on official paper, stamped it, signed it, and for half a century, every system believed. The chemistry didn't contradict the documents. The documents didn't contradict the chemistry. The circle closed, airtight, self-referencing, and absolutely wrong. The atoms waited patiently. In a leather-bound notebook carried through the rain, the resin was logged under Protocol 01, Law of Isocopic Memory. Surface confirmed. Origin denied. Systematic fabrication pre-1975. Begin full audit. Cabinet 12 South. Cabinet 12 South. The Trust's second most valuable holding. The verification didn't collapse, it revealed a pattern so old that only the atoms remembered. The audit has just begun.